Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Are you ready to pop your cork? In the left corner is 6'4", 242 pounds, with a record of 45-0, the undisputed.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, Will.
Hey, how many bottles of wine have you had?
Well, Will, it's not the wine. I'm just so excited about the podcast.
Yeah, I am too. But this is not a boxing match. This is We Know Texas Vino.
Salute.
2 and 1. Welcome all you We Know Texas Vino listeners. This is your host, Will Donahue, and I want to be grateful for the location we're at today. Ron set us up with a really, really great place to do an episode today, and it's actually a really special episode because I actually get to sit down with 3 amazing writers for the Texas Wine Lover. Now, I can let y'all guess, or I can introduce y'all. So first off, we got Ron Martin.
Yes, this is my home winery.
You can say hello if you want.
Yeah, I was just glad to be invited here, or was it to make sure we had a good gathering and a good setup?
I think it was.
It was just to make sure we had a good spot to sit.
And then we got Neal Addy.
It is great to be here and among my friends and at this beautiful facility. This is wonderful.
Yeah, thank you for coming. And then we have Laurinda Powell.
Thomas.
I'm sorry.
Thomas.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Let me redo that. Laurinda Thomas.
Yes. Thank you.
We're going to vote him off the show. Right
I know.
now.
I know.
Off my own show.
You're the cast off. Cast off.
And then we have a really special guest here. We have my stepdad, Robert, who has been on a couple episodes, and we had him to sit on this show because he will be a great addition to the show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So before we really get into the meat and potatoes of the show here, I just want to let everybody know where you can find us online at WeKnowTexasVino.wine. You can also find us at .com, also on Facebook at We Know Texas Vino. And then you can find us on any podcasting platform. And just when you find us and you listen to us, give us a 5-star rating, leave us a review, and tell us what you love about the show. And if you feel like you need to buy us a glass or a bottle, I will not tell you no. So you're listening to
Absolutely.
So this episode is episode 81. First off, I can't believe I'm at 81 now. You know, it just feels like just last week we just started this podcast and didn't know how it was going to turn out. And look at it, we're just cruising along, just fine.
Yeah, I think I was 49. I don't know, Neal, what were you?
Oh, I was probably, 15?
Yeah.
And then Laurinda,
I don't know.
she forgot her numbers.
I did.
Well, this is actually We Know Texas Vino, Texas Wine Lover takes over Kiepersol episode.
Yes.
And so this is a very good special episode because we're just going to have an open forum conversation about Texas wine and Texas agriculture and Texas viticulture. And so I want to first start off, but we're sitting at the Kiepersol Vineyard right now. That's behind us, or behind me. It's in front of Ron and Neal and Robert. Tell us what's going on in the vineyard right now, Ron.
Well, the grapes are resting. They've been fertilized. They're gaining strength, and they're soon going to their winter hibernation and get ready for bud break next March.
You know, I think this year, from what I've understood, this is probably one of the bigger harvests that we've had in Texas this year because we had the early rain in May and June, and then it just dried out for the rest of the year.
Yeah. Some of these vines were so heavy with fruit during harvest. I'm sure they're glad to get a break and get ready for next year. We had a good harvest this year.
Oh yeah.
And we're sitting here looking at primarily Cabernet. And their Cabernet crop was very good this year.
Yeah. And what did you say that they planted way back in the back?
You're going to make me come up with their hybrids, basically.
Yeah.
Come on, Ron.
Cabernet
Come on, Ron.
Noir,
Cabernet Noir, yeah.
which you're going to see in a couple of our blends here.
Okay.
So most of those were in their first leaf. So next year we should get some grapes off of those and
Nice.
see. I think it's going to be interesting to see whether they stand alone or they're going to be used as blending grapes. But we're looking forward to
Nice.
Yeah, I think I see some Sangio right out here.
Yeah, and Sangiovese to our right. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Laurinda got excited about the Sanjo.
I did.
Not to
That
be
Texique
confused
Sangio was the
with
bomb.
the wine we're drinking, which
Yes,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
Texique
what are we
Sangio.
drinking?
so
Texique?
it's Texique, which is this particular Texique is made with Sangiovese.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yes.
I did have one question, though, that all of your listeners want to know, and that is, why does she have 2 glasses and we have
I think
'Cause
she
y'all
fell
are
in love
slackers.
with the dry rosé as well, and just hasn't been able to put it down.
Y'all are slackers, and I'm a professional.
Some
Yeah.
drinker. Easy.
That's right. Because y'all took way too long on the tour, and
We
I
didn't take
was
that long on
like,
the tour at all. What are you talking about?
I will tell you, I've done many tours out here, and this group was well advanced for most tour groups I do, so
The
it didn't
rowdiest-
take long. Actually,
the rowdiest,
Well,
the rowdiest
is
bunch.
what he meant, yes.
Yeah, we kept pushing Ron to go into those secret spaces in the winery. and the
Oh, you
production
tried
room
to
and
get him
stuff.
to sneak
it's
into
kind
a
of like a
barrel
preschool
and
class.
stuff.
Actually, you had a hard time getting their attention.
Yeah, I get that right there.
I do want to say, though, this was Libby and my first trip here to Kiepersol, and Ron gave us a very good tour.
Oh, yeah.
And if you have not been here, this is very impressive. They have a distillery, they've got the winery, they've got this gorgeous vineyard, there's B&Bs. I mean, there's a lot going on out here. And Ron, we really appreciate the tour. That was a very
Yeah.
fascinating
It's
tour.
always
The
fun to tell.
distillery was fun to see.
Ron gives a
The-
great tour.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's an amazing backstory.
Yes.
And I always, whether I'm writing or visiting, I look for the backstory.
Right.
Right.
And this one taught me all about backstories.
Yeah.
There's a good one at
Yeah.
almost every winery in Texas.
Yep, and that's the whole reason behind the whole We Know Texas Vino, because I want that backstory as well, because, when you get to hear about the story, you get to hear more about the wine and why they fell in love with what they're doing. And that's the passion right there. Everybody knows, well, most everybody knows my backstory and how I got into this and my passion as well.
You can give a tour. Anybody can give a tour of anything, but when they're passionate about it, and it shows, it definitely showed today.
It showed today.
It's kind of like bragging about your family,
Oh,
Right.
In a way, it is.
It
my
is family for him. Yeah.
It is.
and you want to tell everybody, boom, this is 3.0 grade average or something like that.
Right.
To get
I know.
everything done.
This is an amazing place to come. And I know people are like, they're like, well, tell us what do you do? Where do you go? And I'm like, when I come out here, we don't ever leave Kiepersol. It's like we spend all day out here.
It's hard to leave here because
It is.
You can get good food and good wine, good spirits, good friends.
Yes.
Well,
Amazing
we didn't
wines,
talk-
great
we don't
friends.
often talk about the food side of it, but we're all going to dinner
Yeah,
tonight.
the restaurant's
Oh, yeah.
great.
Restaurant here
Yeah.
in the middle of a vineyard. And
Yes. It's
very
like a
special
one-stop
place.
shop.
And
You
the
don't have to
menu
leave.
looked amazing. I spent all morning looking at the menu going, I think I want that. No, I want that.
Yeah,
The
I
duck
remember our
cigars.
chat session. You kept saying, "What can we eat here? When can we have breakfast?"
I know you were already talking about dinner, and we're still trying to get through our coffee
I
and
plan
breakfast.
my trips around meals. That's
I
the way it
don't.
goes.
I don't have no problems with
Well,
that.
for those of you who follow me on Texas Wine Friends, most of my posts have pictures of food with wine.
Something to bring up too here at Kiepersol is the lighting of the vines.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
If you can't decide, you just want to stop by. The lighting of the vines is it's crazy.
It's on
good.
Black Friday.
And it's tradition. The people here go above and beyond welcoming people here. And if you've been here before, you're around family, literally.
Well, it's a tradition in our family. We bring the grandkids out. They're up here for Thanksgiving, and they really look forward to. It's not only the lighting of the vineyard, but they've had fireworks with it too that are just spectacular.
Right.
Yeah.
I've got to get out here for that.
Yeah,
I haven't been
you,
yet. I haven't been yet. I've got to get out here for that.
Thanksgiving's just right around the corner.
I know.
Hey, last year we had a table. It was great. We were right there.
I know
They
y'all
really
were out
took
here
care of
last
us.
year for
Yeah,
that.
we had a nice little table, and we had all kinds of people just coming up and seeing what we were doing and stuff, and asking questions. And next thing you know, we were sharing bottles of wine, and next thing you know, my tab was like $900, and I'm like, what happened to all this?
I think last year what I should have done, because I live out here at Kiepersol, is rented my yard for parking, because the real challenge last year was there were so many people here that the parking lots filled up. But
Yeah, if you don't get here early, you
they'll
get
resolve
it.
that. And
Yeah, rent out your driveway and buy a golf cart.
Aren't you-
and
aren't you an
charge
HOA?
a fee
hook the
to.
Clydesdales
He's
to
the
the
president of
carriage.
the
and-
HOA.
Oh heck
he's the
yeah!
president. Oh, that's right, you're the president.
Heck yeah!
So you can change
He's
the
the
rules just for
president.
yourself.
Yeah.
There is a lot to do out here, though, really. And, I talked to somebody just yesterday and mentioned that we were coming here, and they said, oh, you can spend 2 or 3 days there, literally, and not see it all. Just really enjoy all 3 days.
a little history. They wanted to make this a destination business, and so people could come and spend a day or a weekend and here. So when you come here, you not only have the vineyard, the winery, you could do a tasting, you can eat lunch at the restaurant, you could eat dinner at the restaurant. If you got an RV, they own an RV park just a few miles down the road.
I know. I need to bring my RV up here.
I know. That's what I thought you
Just
might
leave
do
it
this
here, dude,
time.
and we'll take care of it.
I bet you I would.
You'll RV set.
RV sitter.
Hey, look at this.
I'd be all right with that out here.
I'm off on weekends. What the heck?
Yeah.
Well, so it's again, Ron, it's awesome that you gave us a little private tour. I mean, I learned more about about Kiepersol that I didn't know about, and I really appreciate that. But Kiepersol is only one winery in Texas, and they're a really great winery. I mean, there's a ton of really, really good wineries out there. So, Ron, age before beauty.
Thank you. Thanks.
So
that means I'm last.
Yeah.
I'm last.
Gosh.
some silence there for just a second, right?
You be quiet. That's not nice.
So outside of Kiepersol, what is your top 5 wineries in Texas?
Oh my God! I the last 5 I visited. Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
over the years you've been here in Texas, you moved to Texas. What is your top 5
Well, I mean,
wineries?
if
I
you
would
look
say
at
this is like trying to pick your top 5 kids.
That's my line.
yeah. So I mean, you would look at what wine clubs am I in? Because wouldn't that be one measure of that? But I just shuffled them up a little bit last week because I've spent most of this year focusing my time in Northeast Texas, North Texas, because really it was a long way for Texas wine lover Jeff to come. So he asked if I could focus on the Piney Woods Wine Trail.
Right.
This is
So
a
I think
trek.
I've written 8 blogs, but they've all been in. I found some amazing places. I'll just highlight one. On the border of Texas, Louisiana, near Hemp Hill, Texas, on Toledo Bend, is a winery called Piney Woods, and Piney Woods Vineyard. And I mean, their wines are amazing. It's a great trip to do, and they've remodeled an old historic building in downtown. Never even knew it existed, and I could name 4 or 5 or 6 of those that we've been to in the last 6 months that are some of the favorite ones. And I so to say what are my top 5 favorites, I really want to get back to some of the others that I went to reinforce the joy I got in visiting those. But I'm busy exploring. There's a brand new one about an hour and 20 minutes north of here. It's Cicada Ridge, and I want to basically go up there and learn what their story is.
How long have they been open?
Jeff just told me about it. I think he met somebody at Grape Camp.
Really?
That's opening that. So I think it's so new that they haven't claimed their listing yet. So I need to go up there and get them on the app.
Yeah.
Which, will
Jeff,
help people
i.e.
find
the Godfather.
The Godfather.
The Godfather.
So we're still waiting for that your top 5.
Oh, the top. Oh, my God. Well, I'll just tell you.
You're not going to move on until you get your top 5.
Yeah,
I was going to bail you out.
Help him out,
because he's
Neal.
gonna
Help
ask
him
me
out,
that team
Neal.
effort. Yeah.
Help him out, Neal.
I really do think, and seriously though, I really do think North Texas and East Texas doesn't get some of the notoriety that you get in the Hill Country and some of the other areas. There's some really good wineries up here.
Yes.
The Texoma ABA is I think greatly underrated.
That's
There's
my
a lot of
favorite.
very good.
That's
stuff
my
going on
favorite.
up here.
That's my
And
favorite.
out here in East Texas too, you've got a number of them. I can think of several. 3 Ps, Triple N, of course, Kiepersol.
Enoch Stomp.
Enoch Stomp.
Enoch Stomp.
Los
Twisted Vine.
Pinos. Los
Yeah.
Pinos.
I think about
Twisted
Terra
Pines.
Vineyard.
That Twisted Pine.
Yeah.
Is that Twisted?
Yeah.
Well, now I'll just take you one step further because I'm now the Texas wine lover specialist in muscadine wine. There's a number of.
I'm sorry.
There are several.
We've had some good.
I would just challenge you to this, Neal.
There's been some good.
That
I'm
was
gonna
not
give
me
you-
that said that.
There's
I'm gonna
been
give
some
you
good
2
muscadine.
wineries to go to in East Texas, in very deep East Texas, that are producing great muscadine wines. I mean, I really woke me up to what else is out there.
I apologize to Alphonse right now.
But I've probably done more postings on muscadine wines than most of the industry.
Yeah, because
has.
that's more predominant. Yeah, you've got.
Some very good stories out there. Recently, I think in one of my last blogs was at Walker's Mill, and you want to talk about a beautiful facility. They have a 6,300 square foot barn that the wood was hauled in from Washington State, and they have a 7-foot chandelier in this barn. I mean, if I were
Wow.
yeah,
Your
if I had a
pictures were
child-
beautiful from out
7-foot
there.
chandelier.
Yeah, 7-foot chandelier.
Well, it's a good thing it's not wax on those things.
But their wines were spectacular, and I had my first dry muscadine wine. You know, usually muscadine wines come off dry or
Right.
sweet, but they had
That-
a dry wine there that was
So
very good.
that makes my curiosity peak there, because how do you get all that sugar out of that muscadine? Because that muscadine just retains so much sugar during fermentation.
I would challenge you to go visit Farrell Winery, where he makes a lot of the muscadine wine in East Texas, and ask him that question. Yeah.
Well, I do have a whole new season coming up.
It was like a new episode.
That's
know.
right.
So now, Neal, how about you? What are your top 5? I mean, since Ron kind of skirted around
Did
the
you
question.
see that look? He was like,
I feel like a
What area are we
politician.
talking- you know, there are really so many good ones up in this area. You know, I am a member at several of them. I could name Lonesome Vine, Edge of the Lake.
Yes.
Of course, you've got the big circle up there with the 4R, Blue Ostrich,
Blue Ostrich RK.
I mean, you know, those
Yep.
are all just wonderful
And then
wineries.
you got 2 more opening up
got
this year before the end of the year.
555 is fantastic.
Yes.
I
Red
think
River and Rancho
Red
Serrano.
River.
That's right.
I mean, what you don't have to do, what I feel like right now, you don't have to go to Fredericksburg 290 to find good wineries.
Oh, yeah. Almost
And
definitely.
we just spent last weekend up in North Texas,
I'm
in the
jealous.
Valley
Yeah, I know.
area.
He didn't invite
Jealous.
us.
Yeah.
He didn't.
Actually,
That's rude,
switched the
Ron.
membership.
That was rude.
To 555.
Yeah.
Because
Did
they're-
you?
they're
Great.
wines.
You know, Whitney and Tom are doing
Well,
some great things.
you know,
there.
we were already at Edge of the Lake, and they're like 10 minutes.
10
apart.
minutes.
Yeah.
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 Well, and you know, Ron has a private VIP section there at 555. And you have to
Yes.
ask permissions and reservations through Ron. You can't do it through Whitney.
Well,
Tom.
what made me feel real bad is
Now I know who to call.
is Tom came in, the owner, and said, and he was all sweaty, and I said, "Where you been?" And he said, "I was pressure washing the VIP because we knew you were coming."
Okay, so explain what the VIP,
Okay.
the Martin VIP
Describe it.
section
Okay,
is.
yeah.
So when you pull up into 555, you pull up into their house, but if you pull up around the side, you pull into the tasting room. Well, when you look into the tasting room, you're overlooking the vineyard, but you're also seeing the back porch of their house as well, which is nice, comfortable seats with padded seats, nice little table. It's got ceiling fans out there, even a little gas stove, and you can go and sit over there, but you got to make reservations through Ron
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get
Yeah,
there.
that, yeah. But
And you have to know Ron to get that. If you don't,
as much as I like my VIP, we so enjoyed visiting with Tom and Whitney that we never left our seat in the main tasting room. Yeah.
yeah, Tom and Whitney are great people, and they're doing something amazing right there.
Yeah,
you know, just in my little time that I was there, I'm trying to think who Rusty from Breaking Bud was there.
Okay.
When I did their episode, and he comes to sit down, and we got to doing our episode with Tom, and then I sat over there and did a tasting, and we just sat there, and next thing you know, it was like 7:00. You know. Really great time. So you're still on the skirt for your 5.
You're not off the, you're not off the
I thought I
hook.
bailed him up. I interrupted him.
I was sure I named at least 5.
Oh, yeah, that'd be sad.
Laurinda,
Well, so,
I know your pickings are slim over there.
well, I always say I live in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. No,
I'm gonna
I'd have
argue
to.
with that.
Well, it's like an
I mean,
hour.
yeah, an hour.
It's an hour and 45 minutes to get usually to the good Comanche where I.
Well, I mean, I guess it's an hour and a half drive or hour
I
drive
frequent.
from Fort Worth. So I mean, it's not too bad.
Yeah. I'd say I don't know about top 5, but I know my OG favorites are going to be where we started when we started with the Texas wine, and that's going to be Blue Ostrich, RK, and Marker Cellars.
Do you sometimes get frustrated that you get enamored and you want to try the new ones, but you
It's
so
hard.
remember
Yes.
getting back to the ones that
Yeah.
got you
It's
in this
that, and that's what we talked about in the episode that we did. It's like, you know, we had our, with Mom, you know, it was always, we went back to our OG favorites.
Roots.
And when we, you know, more wineries started popping up, and it was like you want to go to the new ones, but it's like you have that connection with the originals, and it's like, how do you decide what to do? So we would always try to find a mix of going to the OGs, but still trying to throw in some of the new ones. And it was really hard. And there's sometimes still I go up there and it's like I have to choose. It's like, where do I want to go?
Right.
And like you said,
almost feel like you're cheating on them because you're like,
that is exactly right. It's like you feel like, oh my gosh,
like, I don't want to cancel my wine club here because then I'm going somewhere else, and they're like, these people are canceled because they're going somewhere else.
It's like,
and
that was one of the things we liked about up north, because it's like, it's not like 290. It's like you've got one or two wineries right there together. And it's like you go and you can spend a day. It's not super crowded, and you can really relax and enjoy your time. You can enjoy the wine. You can enjoy the scenery. But then it's like, as new wineries have been opening, it's like, oh man, how do I decide where to go? So it's like you kind of have to have a multiple day trip to try to say, okay, this time I'm going to focus on, I'm going to hit the cluster of Blue Oyster Jerky and 4R. And then, okay, I'm going to head this way and maybe go hit Edge of the Lake and now 555 because they're right there together. And if you have time, you can drive into Valley View and hit Firelight, or head to Salina and go to Eden Hill, which they're Cap Franc. Hello.
Square Cloud.
Yeah.
Square Cloud.
It's
Square Cloud
it's
is
hard.
a gym.
It is.
We were in Eden Hill Sunday night to a wine club a party, and
Yeah, drinking Cap
so
Franc.
we're late coming from 555 and Edge of the Lake, and we drive by. As we're driving in a
I
hurry,
know.
there's Square Club, and I said to my wife, "Oh my God, I've got to get back here."
Yeah.
Have you
Jackson-
not been?
I have been.
Okay.
Yeah,
But it's-
I've been several times.
Jackson
So that's
is-
another
Jackson
one.
is-
Forever.
Yeah, you just got to get there.
Jackson turned me on to two wines that I've never had before, and I've actually fallen in love with it so much that I'm actually making my own now. And that was Alicante Boucher and Montepulciano.
Alicante Boucher.
First off, you got to love saying the word Alicante Boucher. I mean, it just makes you smile every time you say it.
I don't know if I like drinking it more or saying it more.
But Montepulciano, it makes you just want to put your hands together and put it up like an Italian and say Montepulciano, but he's got something amazing going on there, and he's so underrated and not visited very much. I wish more people would go out there and visit him. He's got such amazing wines out there. And what's crazy is that he does everything in stainless steel. He does not believe in oaking anything.
Oh, no.
But you remember that episode we did out there when I was sitting there, we were talking to Michael Cook, and he had some customers out there, and he dropped what I thought was a maraschino cherry into somebody's wine. And I had this look like, how dare you put a maraschino cherry in a wine? It was an oak ball.
An oak ball.
Cherry.
And I'm sitting there like, why? And then he actually explained why he did that. And here's what I love about wine. This is one of my favorite things about wine, is you can take wine and put it into a barrel, and when you age it in the barrel, you're incorporating that barrel taste into that wine, in I want to call the nucleus of that wine. Okay. But when you do it with an oak ball outside of fermentation during aging process, you're adding that complex on the outside. It kind of almost make it a shell of that wine, so you can kind of close everything in. Because I've noticed that if you take something that's been oaked and something that's not been oaked and drop an oak ball in it, it has a completely different taste than when it's been in the barrel.
That's why they call a barrel the spice rack of wine.
There you
Exactly.
It really is.
Winemaker spice. Rack.
That's right.
Yeah,
I've never heard that.
Yeah, you never heard that?
I have
You
not
didn't
heard
listen
that.
to my tour.
Yeah, I know. You
No.
didn't listen. Oh, wait a minute. You wasn't on there.
Oh,
Today.
you were probably talking to my wife.
All right, now I have been on the tours twice before. Thank you very much.
I have to go back to something that Laurinda said, though. She said there's not much out in her area. I have to say, I'm a little bit jealous of you, though, because you are much closer to what I would call the mothership of Texas
yes.
wine than
Yeah.
the rest
West
of us.
Texas
You
area,
are
yeah.
that close to West Texas, the Lubbock Brownfield area.
That's even an hour. That's an hour
And-
drive from her still there.
I mean,
5 hours
I
closer
would
than
be
me.
out there all the time. I love the people out there.
Yes.
And that is,
Amen.
to me, that is really a destination that is vastly
Uh-huh.
overlooked by Texas wine lovers.
I agree.
And wine enthusiasts in general.
I
The
agree.
Growers, I mean, you get into the growers out there, and you're going to meet some amazing people.
Yes.
The Oswalds, of course, the Newsoms.
The
I mean,
Wilmiths. Hello.
The Phillips.
Yeah.
Kubacek, excuse me.
Oh, he'll get
yeah.
you for that one.
The Seatons, the Fergusons. I mean,
Yeah.
all of them are amazing people.
It's
Yeah.
just so when I say I live in the middle of nowhere, I mean
Like there's nothing within an hour drive for
I
you.
don't
Yeah,
I don't live
yeah.
somewhere where I can just drive, 20,
take your
30
golf
minutes and hit. Yeah. Yes. Yes. It's like if I want to get out and go drink some wine, it has to be planned. I can't just say, oh, well,
Yep,
I mean,
it's
I
supposed to be
have
a
just
2-week
hopped in
plan.
the car and gone.
Yeah.
But it's not the same.
But I'd be
But
out
I
in Lubbock
agree.
every weekend.
Yeah, well, let me tell you what's good about. I mean, I have two people sitting across or near by me and across from me who share where they're going, and I'm sort of envious of that. And so I've already said to
Yes.
Laurinda, I want to go down to
Comanche.
Comanche, and
I know.
because guess what, I have visited 198 Texas wineries, and I'm sort of planning what the
I'm-
next two are because they're big events for me, and I want to.
Matt,
You're gonna
I
come.
wanna-
You're gonna come my
Yeah,
way.
I've
Oh,
actually
and
been
y'all will
thinking
come in
about-
and
I was
meet.
down in the
I will give
industry
him
and seeing-
recommendations right now.
Yeah.
So you said 198.
So I've 198.
So I've been into 80 now.
Yeah.
I lost
But I'm
count.
a lot older than
Do you count?
Will.
Have
Even
you
though you
counted?
look
2 days older
Yeah,
than
yeah,
me.
yeah.
Okay, you're just 2 days older than
right,
me.
right. But I'm trying to figure out what my next two are.
You're gonna come my direction.
Okay.
We should
And
do
you're-
that. We should plan a trip. Actually, I am planning a trip up to West Texas this coming year.
I have
For
been
season
trying
3.
to. Yeah,
And-
I've been trying to get somebody out that way.
Speaking of West Texas, Laurinda came down. I think my wife and I had been to West Texas when there were maybe only 4 wineries you could visit there, and had an amazing trip with that group that we all just mentioned,
Yes.
where you just share.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think giving credit to Texas Wine Lover and with all that Jeff's done, you share that.
Right.
And I had many people say to me on my post, the next time you go, I want to go with you. It's like, because in the early days, it was hard. I mean, some of the tastings were done in barrel room. They all didn't have tasting rooms.
Right.
I remember Marissa Bingham, when she was Marissa Bingham,
Right.
taking us, apologizing because we had to do the tasting in the
Oh,
barrel room.
I mean-
And said,
Darn.
please,
Oh,
no."
man.
Yeah.
that is just
Darn.
as exciting.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we visited. I'm trying to think who we went. Oh, we visited the Phillips Vineyard.
Yes.
They don't make wine.
Nope.
Yet we had a wonderful tasting of the wines that they had contracts with.
Yes.
That we were able to sit and share and hear their story. And that was an amazing experience.
Yep.
They make no wine,
It's
but
time
Yeah.
to buy a
still.
wine party bus.
Yeah. And
Paint it,
that's
Texas Wine Lover Party
that's
Bus.
so
There you go.
different from going to a winery where they make their
Exactly.
wines. It's like
Yes.
You're talking to the growers.
it was a
These
great
people,
experience.
They're the ones that are out there at 3 a.m. doing
Uh-huh.
the
Yeah.
roasting. They're the ones that are blood, sweat, and tears going
Yeah.
into that, and they're proud of what they're doing. And it was just an amazing experience to hear their story
Yep.
and be able to. I believe they contracted with at the time. I'm sure they still do now with Wedding Oak. So we were sitting there drinking some wonderful wines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it was great.
Well, I always like the fact that when you read a post that Neal Addy and Laurinda does, they're basically telling the story enough so that you want to go there.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what Texas Wine Lover and Texas Wine Friends is all about.
Yeah.
It's about
Yeah.
getting the word out.
Yeah.
It's about being ambassadors for the industry and sharing. I mean, I'm a wine club member at San Martino, and sometimes I think I'm the only one that's posted a San Martino wine. There is a very successful winery. They make great red wines there. But sometimes I feel like I'm the only one out there. But when I do, by gosh, I want to tell people
Right.
that winery is a good winery to visit.
That's one I
make
want to
good
visit.
wines.
I hadn't had a chance to get out there with that
Yeah.
stuff. So, Robert, I know you have been as many wineries as these other 3 esteemed people are. But what are your favorite ones that you've got to experience since you've actually been doing the podcast with me and hanging out with me?
Well, basically, a lot. You mentioned the 3 Ps. You mentioned, of course, Kiepersol. Really, I couldn't really narrow down. I definitely don't have a top 5. Because, like I said, I've not been to that many. I just enjoy learning because this has been a learning experience for me with Will learning about wines. I did some time in the service. I was in Spain, so I really got accustomed to the Portuguese wine and the Spanish wines. So that's been part of my education is just hanging out and going to the different things and helping out. But I do have a question. We're talking about Kiepersol. Nothing's been mentioned about the distilling process that is here, which is just gigantically unique. And I know that you guys have a mezcal drink. You can't call it tequila because
Listen
it
to
did
him.
not come from that area of Mexico. But you bring in the agave plants harvested from Mexico and process them here.
Yeah.
So
We used to call it tequila because we don't buy the agave from Tequila, Mexico. You
Right.
can't, just like if you don't get champagne in Champagne, France, you can't call it that. So we had we called it tequila, but we thought it was a little too close to tequila, so it's now called blue agave. And I can tell you, if you want like a good margarita, you can get that here. Over at
the new
tasting.
barreled age, I just had a sample of that, and that's indescribable. The taste on that because
The bourbon barrel.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
And you pick up the oak from the barrel, and it's one of those sit on the veranda with a cigar and
Yeah, because it turns that tequila into a drink that you could sip, just like a bourbon.
right.
We're gonna get Neal adjusted here. Yeah, Neal's needs a little extra cords right here. He can't even hear us talking about it. Is that better? We're sitting at a table right now, and we
I'm
got a lot of
trying-
cords, and we're trying to make everybody, reachable and stuff.
trying not
To
to
make it all
run,
work.
We're all in one accord.
trying to not run.
Plus, we just
glass
poured
over.
we just poured a new wine.
Yeah. What was it?
So this would be a very bold red
Mm-hmm.
called Power.
Power.
And actually, there are two sisters that own Kiepersol,
Uh-huh.
Marnell, the winemaker, and her sister Valmay, and her Valmay married a Power, and this is the kind of wine that he enjoyed. And if you look at the bottle, they've got a description of all the letters in Power, what it means, but it's 15.4% alcohol. So it's one of the boldest wines that Kiepersol has ever made, and it's very good.
Very nice.
Very good.
Hey, let's get that bottle right quick, and we'll actually read what's on the bottle.
What's the bottle, not the wine? Well, he's already got the wine.
Yeah, we just want to read the label. So, Laurinda, can you do this honor?
Yeah, no. I don't have my glasses on.
Well,
Ingredients.
okay,
Yeah, I know.
ingredients:
Yes.
wine,
Wine.
grapes.
Love.
All right,
Sunshine.
power stands for people being loved, others first, wine to share, entertaining and laughter, and ready to give.
I mean, that's
Oh,
what
wow, that's awesome.
that's what Texas wine's all about.
Yes, that is.
That's what we're about.
That's right.
Are we friends?
Well, sometimes. I'll claim you sometimes.
Okay.
Not all the time.
So did
Occasionally.
you say you had too many glasses, or
No.
Oh, you didn't have glasses on.
Oh,
I don't
think,
have my
no, I think she
glasses.
really did. She had too many glasses.
No.
I thought you wore contacts.
I have
That's
not.
all.
She's only got 2 right now.
Means
Only two.
well, I'm only down to one.
Oh, you're down to
so,
one now.
Hey,
I see.
Oh,
I'm missing
All right.
my
please send donations.
Oh.
So I guess no one's going to
I know.
ask for
One
my
more
top 5.
glass.
Carried that dry
one more
rose-
glass for Laurinda.com.
Carried that dry rosé around like a little
So now you get a free T-shirt.
Yeah.
That Rosé Reserve is one of my favorites.
So I guess no one's going to ask me what my top 5 are.
Okay, what's your top? Will,
Will,
what's your top
How are your
five?
top 5?
Will, what is your top
Please bless us
five?
with your top 5,
Well,
Mr. 90 something
Or
stories.
or maybe 7 since you're up to episode 81.
Yeah.
well, so honestly, like all of y'all said, it's really hard to pick which one's your favorite because everybody has a story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has wine that you like, and not just a single varietal, but a blend. And the blend that you're going to get from them is you're not going to find it from anywhere else. For example, my favorite blend, absolutely favorite blend, Andrew and Christy will love me for saying this, is they're smitten.
I knew it somehow.
I would second that.
I mean, they're smitten. And I asked them, I said, are y'all going to redo this again? Because they told me it was kind of a happy accident that they made that one. And they said they're going to try to, but they're going to change one of the varietals out of it because they couldn't get it. Either they couldn't get it or they didn't have enough of it or something like that, So they're going to redo that again. So,
That's about 5 different varietals.
yes, it was 5 different varietals.
Wow.
And, actually, I'm trying to get a case of that right now. So when they do finally sell out, I will turn around and sell my bottles at an increased price. See, it's supply and demand. You see that,
Yeah.
There is investment in wine, ladies and gentlemen.
There is.
I have to say also, Lonesome Vine. Honestly, I'll tell you my top favorite 2. Lonesome Vine and
Love them.
Hilmy.
Oh, their Cab
Okay.
Franc is amazing.
Michael Barton.
Michael Barton.
He has something special going on there. He's been one of my kind of like go-tos when I need to ask questions about winemaking stuff. I go to him and ask questions also. In fact, all the wineries that I've been to and doing my wine journey, every one of them, I've always bounced something off of them to ask us a question about my journey. And every one of them come back with a different answer. And what I like to do is I combine all that into a little ball, and then I just sit there and I try to figure out which one's best for me and what I'm trying to accomplish, those are like my absolutely top two. Those are my favorite places right there. They will never ever have to worry about my wine club membership. Now, on the other hand, like Laurinda, she cheats on all her wine club members.
Man, snap.
Did you hear the bus honking? Because he didn't slow down.
Y'all best watch out.
So,
When he's quiet for a minute, you're gonna know he's been knocked in the floor.
But I mean, we sign up for these wine clubs because we love their wines. We love everything they have. But it's we made a comment about this. I don't know if it was off air or while we're recording here, but it feels like when we want to sign up for another wine club membership and we want to cancel one, it's like we feel like we're cheating. On them.
Yeah.
But because we love their wines and we want to continue supporting them, but you've only got so much money to go so far, and you want to support the other wineries too.
Have so much wine space.
Well, sometimes it's not just about the wine, but it's about the place.
Yeah.
Right.
The experience.
Well, that brings up a good subject.
Oh,
All right. That actually
Let's
is a
go.
great
A
topic.
segue.
Let's go there.
let's segue to this.
Well, I'll use this
what is it?
my example.
Let me ask, what is it about a winery that draws you to that winery? If I'm a wine owner, if I'm a wine tasting room owner, I'm going to want to know, what is it that brings you there and makes you
that's
want
a
to
great
be a
question.
member?
That is
a good
Hold on.
question.
But we're in sync with the issue.
So before us four here who are in this industry, and we talked to a lot of these people, my stepdad, who is still very new in this whole wine stuff, Robert, tell us what drives you to a
Very
winery.
good point. Well, first of all, I go for word of mouth. I mean, I listen to
Yes.
literally listen to the grapevine. You got to go here. You got to try this.
The literal grapevine.
Will was talking about how everybody has their favorite, and I have my favorite name that I would try. If I go anywhere, they're going to have like a Cab Sauv or something like that. So I always try that first. And then, unfortunately, and you talked about the calibrated taste buds. So in my mind is my Rolodex, and I'm like, what did this taste like?
This came from a previous discussion before the
Yeah, way
podcast.
off there.
Because when I came back from Spain, I was trying to find that Spanish wine or the Portuguese wine. Doesn't exist in America. It's Spanish or Portuguese. So that was my guide. And then I've since, through Will's education, how to taste the wine, how to smell the wine, how to enjoy it, not just, yeehaw, let's have a glass of wine.
Guzzle, yeah.
So when
Strawberry Hill.
Galinda, my wife and I go someplace, like the first time we went to 3Ps, we were like, hey, what a cool name. And I looked it up on the internet, how they named their name. That sounds cool. Let's go check it out. Didn't know what we were going to, didn't know where to park. Walked in, boom, family. Set us down, gave us the test. I mean, it was great.
He just said the key
You probably
feat.
got a hug from Brett in the parking lot.
He just said the key word there.
Yes.
That was the key word I want to come back to, but go ahead.
And then we were coming back. We always passed by Terra Vineyards. And one day, it was a Sunday, we had time, so we popped in there. We have since gone back for their Mother's Day special, which is just phenomenal. Out there, right there in the vineyards, walking around, having the wine. Great group of people. We were there to see the eclipse.
Wow.
So they had an eclipse party. Then the various ones that through Will that we'll go to places and we'll look for a winery. We were in Jefferson, Texas. They have a place downtown that it's not a winery. It's like talking about they have wines for sale, and they're Texas wines, and they're very proud. They'll tell you all about them. They're very knowledgeable. They don't treat you like, oh, here's another so-and-so, whatever like that. And then that locks up in the brain, and then you tell somebody else, word of mouth. So, yeah, I guess as the rookie in this crowd, that's what we look for. We have the wines that we like to taste. Sometimes it's dry, sometimes it's not. But it just depends really on the mood when we sit down. And
So it's more about the experience
exactly.
than the wine specifically.
Exactly. Thank
That's
you.
perfect.
And we have sat down with Will before, and Before you know it, there's 4 empty bottles on the table because we're not.
I can understand that.
I mean,
We don't talk about that.
we sit
And
down,
Laurinda wasn't even there.
I wasn't there. I was
you
not
sit
out
down with
there.
a bunch of friends, you're drinking the wine, you're sharing. Maybe your friend brings their favorite bottle.
Yeah.
Hey, you got to try this. We'll have several that he says, "Oh, you've got." He brings us wine. You got to try this. It's off.
Oh, yes.
So you're sharing all this thing. So what does that share your knowledge to me? So you're teaching, and then it goes back to the experience, and you want to go back for that because, like Cheers, everybody knows your name.
Yeah.
So you want to walk back in again and go, I want that pizza that you made for me last time, or give me that so and so. And
Well, you said the key word a while ago, and this one I think is the most popular. If you ask 50 people, half of them at least are going to say the family feeling
Yep.
Right.
in the winery.
Yeah.
They want
Right.
to feel like family when they walk out.
Right.
I want to see Tom sweaty from pressure washing the VIP
Just for
area.
you.
Just for me.
Oh, crap. Ron's coming. We got to clean this.
And all we did is sit and talk to Whitney and Tom.
Oh.
Why? Because
Yeah.
Oh, Tom and Whitney, watch
Right.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We felt
Watch
guilty
out.
about going to our VIP section and being by ourselves.
Well, so, Laurinda, what's your, why do you
I'm-
pick a winery?
Well, I'm the same way. I go back to my OG favorites because of the experience and because we've formed friendships and bonds, and a lot of them I consider family now. New places I go sometimes from word of mouth. If I see other people posting about, this new winery I've never been to and how great their wines are, that sometimes leads me to decide where I'm going to go. But ultimately, I always return to the place where you've got the best experience and you feel like family. You don't feel like a cow being herded through, the line. I hate that.
they're not going to judge you. They're accepting you. They love you. Hey, come
Yeah,
in here.
they
How
are
was your day? How
so,
was your
yeah.
week?
Yeah.
How's your dad? I heard he was sick last night.
Yes.
Things like that.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll never forget one of the, and this will go back to Blue Ostrich. Probably, I bet it wasn't probably on our 3rd, 4th, 5th visit that I went out with my mom and we pulled up. And, they've got hundreds of thousands of people going through. And we had pulled up one day and got out of the car, and Julie Whitehead was outside. And she was like, we got out and she was like, oh, there's my friends from Abilene. And we were like, dude, she, we'd only been here once or twice, and she remembered that we were from Abilene. We were like, man, that's just it. My mom was just so impressed with that, and I was pretty amazed with it, knowing the number of people that go through there. So it's like,
Jeff Cope envisioned this Texas Wine Friends site that would allow you to do that. So,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times did you see a wine, maybe a new grape, maybe a new wine, or a location that you say, gosh, I didn't even know that was there. But I see her post your Comanche family, and I want to go there.
yeah,
And
Rebecca. He's talking
yeah.
about you,
So-
J.W. Harden. Rebecca, if
Harden.
you're listening.
Jeff saw this, and if you're not on Texas Wine Friends and you see those experiences, you're missing.
Yeah.
You're missing.
Yeah.
out.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
do tours here occasionally, and sometimes we'll have 50 people, and I'll say to them, if you like what Kiepersol offers and you're looking for other good Texas wineries or wines, get on this
Yeah.
site.
Do you push them also? We know Texas Vino also.
I have
You
the
gotta
cards right
advertise
there.
for that. That's right.
Do I need to
But
pay
I
you?
don't want to confuse you with the We Know Texas Vino pitch.
Oh, we got a tenured wine drinker here.
Oh, we have a question.
Oh, do we have a question?
He wants to. You want to come on?
You're on the air right now. If you have any kind of questions, you definitely. This is a great
Or
group to ask.
comments?
Well, the comment, I guess, is that, we've come here and we usually, my wife and
Is
I,
it
we
working?
do a lot of bike
Yeah, it's
riding.
working.
And we'll, actually, sometimes we'll ride our bikes up here and grab a glass of wine or come up here to watch the sunset. And we've recommended it to several people, to come and stay in the bed and breakfast. It's a good trip out of Dallas, for the weekend.
Yeah, it definitely is a great trip to come out here from Dallas Fort Worth area.
I think if anything that COVID did positive was to teach people about day trips.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
And
I'm the queen of a day trip.
Dallas and Shreveport
Yeah.
at Kiepersol on the weekend is huge here.
Yeah.
So where are you from?
Dallas.
You're just
Dallas.
Dallas, or you're like Dallas proper, like where?
Well,
at?
we live at White Rock Lake now.
Oh, okay.
We lived in Richardson forever, and we have a camper, so we'll come out here and we camp down,
There you go.
in Bullard, and right now we're up at Woodland Creek
Okay.
camping, and my son and I are just out on a little golf weekend.
Oh,
And,
okay.
I just told him about this, and I said,
There you go, family.
take
Yes.
you by
The new
and show you
ambassador.
what
There
your
it
mom
is.
and I
Get
have
him
been
a
doing
business
when we
card.
come out
Real
here.
family.
Now you do know Kiepersol has a RV park right up the road,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
we used to stay there, and we rode a ride out here called Beauty and the Beast. It was a bike tour,
Oh,
and now we had some friends that built another place. It's just up the road, about 5 miles, right before you get to the tollway,
okay.
and it's called Woodland Creek RV Park.
Okay.
It's brand new and real nice.
Nice.
So we stay there now.
So it fits within the vision that Pierre
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Marnell and Valmet had, which was let's make this a destination,
A destination.
Yeah. So
weekend.
So what you've stumbled on here is actually this is a podcast called We Know Texas Vino.
Okay.
So I do the host of the show. These three gentlemen and young ladies right here.
Gentlemen.
Dude, come on. No more wine.
Two
No
gentlemen
more
and a young-
wine for you.
I was trying to.
No more wine for
I was
you.
gonna say I was gonna say these two gentlemen and this young lady right here, but now that
Oh,
you
thank
ruined
you.
it, never mind. You don't get that.
I'll take young ladies.
They are writers for the Texas Wine Lover app.
Uh-huh.
So if you ever want to find any locations of wineries, they write on these apps.
I know.
And then I actually
Whip
go
out
on and
a
actually sit
card.
down and talk to the
Mine's in my
winemakers and the
purse.
owners about why they got into winemaking.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're actually here doing it like
I have one in my
we're
purse.
taking over the whole center.
There you
Yeah.
You know, trying to be as annoying as possible.
Yeah. So you probably spend a lot of time down in the hill country. I would take it.
I actually spend. So I'm actually in Fort Worth. I live in Fort Worth.
Uh-huh.
So I spend a lot of times in the up in the Fort Worth and all at that. But I have gone down the hill country and I've done. I think I've done like 30 episodes down there, and then next year I'm actually working on going up to like the high plains around Amarillo and stuff, going and doing episodes up there.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing down there. My brother lives down there by Lake LBJ, so that's
Yeah.
pretty much next to Fredericksburg. And, God, 40 years ago, there were like a dozen wineries
Uh-huh.
down there. And I think there's over 200
Yeah.
now.
There. I think between 290 from Austin to Kerrville, you got like 250, maybe close to 300. Yeah, and you can't do them all in a month because it's just impossible.
It's too much.
Yeah.
It's
But
insane.
honestly, if you get on some of these apps and find out where wineries are,
Mhm.
and you did a search in the Dallas area, I think you'd
There's
be
a
surprised
ton in the DFW area.
Yeah.
less than an hour's drive
Uh-huh.
of Dallas.
Do you
how
get
many
out and
good
visit those
wineries.
wineries
Yeah, I think
Which one?
in the DFW area? Because
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite areas to go.
If-
Out
if you-
Texoma towards Gainesville.
Yeah, no. We haven't.
Like
I mean, we've been
Oh.
around there, but I haven't been to any of the wineries. Most of them, I've been to in the hill country, and then we traveled up, into Oregon,
Uh-huh.
and Willamette Valley there.
Right.
And,
So
we're
you're in a
we're
good
big
Mecca.
Pinot,
Yeah.
big Pinot lovers.
You're in a
well, so in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, from all the way from Wichita Falls to Greenville, there's about 200 wineries in that area right there. So
that
you
right?
have more than enough. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love
That's
our
my
hill
favorite
country.
wine area.
That area has such a unique
Yes.
taste and flavor in wines that you can go literally from one winery to another winery and then get the grapes from the same vine, and it's two totally different wines. And it's just amazing.
That is amazing.
You need it. So
I have I'm not, I have a lot of friends, I call them my wine snob friends, and they have a lot of money worth of wines. And we have my wife and I, we have this one wine, and it's called Banter, Banter.
Uh-huh.
And it's just a red blend, and it's under $8. And we probably drank 400 bottles. But I always take that to when we go to, little Italian restaurants where you can bring your own.
Right.
And, I got my $8 bottle next to their $80 bottle. And I always try to get people a taste. Man, this is good.
Oh man.
well, you've got a card now. You
Yeah.
need to get on the Texas Wine Lover app
Yes.
and look and see what's in your area. You've got some amazing
Yes.
wineries
You
out
got some
there.
really- and
That's like my favorite
experiences.
area
We were,
to go.
Yeah, we were literally just talking about experience. You've got so many places in that area that will give you an experience, like
Yeah.
absolutely great experience, and it's just in your backyard.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what was your name again?
I'm Jim.
Jim. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you
Yeah,
for
it was
coming on
nice
and saying.
talking to y'all. Are y'all staying at the bed and breakfast?
Well, my parents actually stay here in New Somerville. He stays
Yeah.
like literally around the corner.
I live here.
Yeah.
I stay at
lives
Martin
here.
Manor.
I've
Martin
never
Manor.
stayed there, but I've heard they got a really good
Oh, yeah.
restaurant there.
Yes.
So that's where
We'll be there tonight.
And
Yep.
it's nice talking with
Yeah,
y'all.
thank you.
Have a good day.
So that was a great little.
I know,
little
that was good.
You know, and that's what I like. I like that kind of stuff. So, talking about experiences, you know. So Neal, you brought that up. Robert gave his stuff. You know, Laurinda gave her little spiel. What about you?
I'd agree with Robert. It's about experience. There's a lot of different types of wineries too. You've got some that have that sophisticated, elegant, a little bit of an upscale vibe. Then you've got the others that are just plain do-it-yourself, down home. I love both of them. I really do.
That was my next question to ask you.
So it's going to be a matter of what am I in the mood for today.
Right.
If I'm going to want an elegant experience, I know exactly where to go.
Mhm.
If I'm wanting to just kind of go out and have a glass of wine, you're
keeping
going
me
to
double
ask me
fisted.
where that is.
Or
aren't
you want to play music bingo.
Yeah, if you want to play
Yeah,
music,
music bingo.
But it really depends on what you're wanting for the evening.
Right.
I'm going to knock one of your glasses over.
I've
here,
got
Laurinda.
him. You're safe.
But
she doesn't need two glasses.
I do agree that if I'm going to walk into a winery and I'm going to end up walking out a wine club member, it's probably because of the experience, because I felt like family when I left. I walked in the door as a stranger, walked out as part of their family.
Exactly.
Right.
And that is a big deal.
Yep.
And I've taken some unofficial polls and don't think a lot of people feel that way. So it's really a matter of, am I talking to someone who is a stake owner in the business? They might be the tasting room manager, they might be the owner, they might be the vineyard manager, or am I talking to somebody they've hired to come in and just pour wine for me?
Right.
That makes a big difference
Yep.
to me too.
Yep.
And I'm not knocking the tasting room associates. There's definitely a room for that. But when it comes to the experience, the overall experience, I love sitting down with the winery owner, the manager, let's talk nuts and bolts. I
Yeah.
love to geek out
Yep.
on the wine.
Yeah.
Yep.
So to
Yeah.
me, that is a big difference in the experiences.
Good tasting room associates though can make or break your
Oh, they can.
experience as
And
well.
And there's some excellent ones.
That's
Yes.
literally what I was about to say. You know, because
We've had, yeah.
you get some of those tasting room attendants who will just walk up and pour you a glass and say, "This tastes like strawberries," and then walks away. And then you got some that will walk over there and say, "You know what? Do you remember that time when you was 5 years old and you were stealing strawberries from your next door neighbor and you ate that when it was nice and hot outside, but it had a nice little chill outside?" They go into details
And
like
I was
that.
going to say what makes or breaks that is the education that
Yes.
that tasting
Yes.
associate has had.
Yes.
If I ask them what's the varietal and they ask me what's that, that's different from them saying, "Well, that's a Carbonara."
I don't know.
Carbonara is a French
I don't know.
crepe. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got these taste profiles,
And you
that makes
talk
a
to-
huge difference.
You talk to people, like you say, the owners, and you have your chemists
Mm-hmm.
that may or may have gone to college, but they're like, okay, the chemistry of this wine is so and so, and it's off the hook. And then you have your maybe your craft person that started out in small batches,
Right.
and they said, okay, this works good for me, and you drink that wine and go, wow, that's fantastic too. So you get all this eclectic knowledge that makes the same thing, an enjoyable drink. You know?
Right, but I really have sat down to
Ron, you just want
tasting.
to kick in here if you need.
Yeah, I've really sat down to a tasting and had a taste. Asked them
Maybe
what's
I'll
the
steal
varietal,
their wine.
and they looked at me with this deer in the
Like
headlights
that.
look.
Yeah. It's like, what?
And
Yeah.
wait a minute, you don't know what a varietal is?
You should, yeah.
But
You
I
should.
think
need to at least have that type of
I think it's a
education.
real
Right.
gotta be a real challenge for if I were on 290 and I have all that traffic say on a weekend,
Yeah.
and I've got to be personable, and it's got to be difficult.
Yeah.
Even here at Kiepersol, Saturdays are very, 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 very busy, and so to be what we described as the experience you want, it gets very challenging.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
think
sure it does.
I guess it depends on the person. When we first started, going out and hitting the wineries. I mean, I didn't care. I didn't know.
Right.
You had no expectation.
I didn't know. I was just like, hey, what do you got? Is it good? Do I like it? Do I not? But it's like as time's evolved, I'm like, I'm learning varietals I like. I'm learning, certain characteristics of a wine that I like that I don't like. So it's like now, as time's gone on and I've evolved, it's like now I care more about what they can tell me.
Right. But that's one of the things. Everybody knows that I work at Landon Winery, and the one thing that I want to give people, specifically people who are from out of state, and even more so out of country, I want to give them an experience about not only the winery that they're in right now at Landon, but also I want them to understand what Texas wine's all about. Texas wine is not about just, Texas can grow grapes. No, Texas can't just grow grapes. We can make some of the best wines out there, and we're proving it every time where there's a competition going on. Right. We've won golds in not only here in Texas, but also in California. And now that we're winning golds over in Europe now, in fact, actually, have y'all heard all the news that's happening with Elisa Christopher now? They are making headway with their sparklings now.
Their sparklings.
And honestly, I've had some of their sparklings, and they're freaking good.
Hey, could be my 200th. A great visit.
Oh, you haven't visited?
Oh my God!
I haven't.
I've been out there. Yeah, what is it? The sparkling
Trebbiano.
They have it.
Yes, it's delicious.
Albarino also.
And I'm not big on bubbles, but those bubbles were really good.
Well, her Trebbiano traditional method is amazing.
It's really
It
good.
could compete with any champagne in the world.
It was really good.
Yes, it's absolutely gorgeous is what they've got going on, and I think they've got a Albarino.
Yes,
and I think she was saying something about a Sauv Blanc. No.
So she has a niche.
Yes. Well, because she usually
specializes.
She does.
Well, and the reason being is because she has a traditional Ridley machine they use in Champaign, France.
Yes.
And she's the only one in Texas that has that.
she's invested a lot of capital into that system, and it works very well.
And when
Very
you
well.
go there, you get a very personal experience.
Yeah.
Very personal.
Yes.
Well,
Y'all keep going. I'm actually getting y'all some more wine.
He said to me to go. My double fisted glass isn't enough.
So
Robert, I was
no,
gonna ask
we're running. We're up to you, I think.
about
Yeah.
it's experience.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. And my wife would not disagree. My wife goes on most of our trips because she's the note taker when I do a blog and the proofreader. So she needs to experience that. So
Pam's like, what?
But I would just tell you, she could name, if you said, what are your favorite 5? They would all be experience based, and they're all going to probably be because somebody, the owner, the winemaker, somebody took the time to spend with you.
Yeah. You can
To tell you why they're special.
You can have a really good wine, but if you've got a bad experience, the bad experience like negates a phenomenal wine.
Oh yeah.
So I'm curious about a question, Robert. I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, go ahead.
But
Put
I've
him
been
on
put
the
on the
spot.
spot a couple
Put him on
times,
the
right?
spot.
That's what you're here for. Are you on the Texas Wine Friends site?
I am.
Okay, good.
I belong to the ones that Will has
Yeah.
said.
Well,
Log on to
we'll
this.
tell you because
You better.
You talked about
better.
you enjoy learning about new vintages, new wineries, and I thought for a minute maybe you were handicapped because you weren't on Texas Wine Friends. But
Well, no, thanks for asking because, and I've actually, in my line of work, I work with a lot of people that they're not necessarily. I don't how to use this word, but wine, what?
Snob.
Well, no, I don't.
Was that not the word you're looking for?
No, here's the word. It just came to me. They're uneducated about wine.
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
what kind of wine you like? Sweet. Okay. Tell me about your experiences with wine. What brands have you bought? Well, we know what they're going to tell me. So what I've done, Will has taught me a lot. And one of the things I tell them is go to the website there to
Texas Wine
click on
Lover.
Facebook. And I said, it's going to educate you. I had one young lady I was talking to. She was very interested. And I had some cards, and I'm not sure where we got those. But it was a picture of the bottle of the wine. It was talking about the wine. What does it pair with? And so she told me what she kind of liked. So I brought some cards in. I said, here, use these, write down,
Where did you get those?
and you can figure out what you want to try with what you want.
Sounds like wine folly.
And so
Well,
I try to do that outside of wineries. I try to get the people that want to try something new, that think, you know, everybody that has a bottle of wine is curled up in a gutter somewhere. You know, I mean, I'm sorry. That's a lot of people think that.
In a gutter.
Well, I think so. What he's talking about is we went to an event, and they inside the little event, they gave us a little bag that had a whole bunch of little different things, and one of them was like a tasting card that talked about the different aspects of wine and what to pair it with, and I think it was something from Wine Folly. Which they've got a book. I gave them a book of Wine Folly.
It's a good book.
It's a great book. I mean, if you want to learn anything about wine,
I'm still reading it.
Who doesn't have wine folly?
oh, you don't? I got Wine Folly then some. You know, what's kind of funny is I recently moved, and so the first thing I moved out of my old house to my new house, Robert, you remember this, is my wine. I didn't move nothing else.
The important stuff.
The important stuff. I didn't move my clothes. I didn't move my furniture. I didn't move my animals. I didn't move nothing else but my wine first. And we moved 21 cases of wine at like
plus the wine cooler.
And plus the wine cooler. You know, we had to get everything properly set up first. You know, we had to, in which actually my guest room is actually my production room too at the same time.
It's priority.
Yeah, it's priority.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, you can't move into a new house without having your wine first. You know. So that leads me to the next thing. Laurinda, you actually had a question that you wanted to talk about wine. Do you remember that question?
Well, yeah, we talked about this, and I was like,
well, but we talked about it off air, so
we
talk
did.
about it on
But
air.
I was fixing to
The
say
wine in your
what I
left hand
wanted.
or the right hand?
Y'all are just
talk.
y'all are just jealous.
Well, first off, I want to make this comment.
Y'all
I
are
don't
just
know-
jealous.
I don't know why Laurinda is double fisting wine over here. Like, you know, everybody else gets one glass.
No, there's three, actually.
Oh, she has three. Holy
That
cow.
is,
that
no,
was-
that's not mine.
How does she manage getting three glasses
That is
now?
not. That's not
Okay. She only
mine.
has
Come
two.
on,
Okay.
y'all.
Just two. It's just
That's
two.
because she lost her sippy cup. Give her a
y'all are like making me sound really bad.
So,
Yes, I'm an
love great
avid
wine.
Texas wine consumer, but
So
come on.
circling back to the question.
Yes.
We'll leave
Yeah.
Laurinda alone for
we
a
love
moment.
Laurinda.
Yeah, y'all pick on somebody else.
She came the farthest way. We had to give her a hard time.
I did. It was 5 hours, but that's okay.
So tell us, you actually had a really good question. And,
Yeah.
and the question you had,
It legit is something
It's-
that I'm just like, I
it's a
struggle
serious
with, and I'm
question.
like,
So
it
we-
is to decant or not. How do you know when you need to decant
Young wine or
a whole bottle,
Yeah.
or is it just you need to aerate what you're drinking at the
Let's
time?
talk about the word decant first. Is decant as in
aerate or-
in trying to filter or aerate?
Aerate.
That's two different
oh, yes.
things.
Yes.
So
Okay.
Well,
So if you open a bottle of wine and you go home, I go home every day from work, and
Are you
I get
sure?
home, and one of the first things I do is I go pour me a glass of wine. Sometimes it's a bottle that's been opened, but if I open a new bottle, sometimes I'm like, this is kind of rough.
Okay.
So it's like, is it because I need it to air out a little bit and open up, or is it just it's just not my cup of tea that day?
So
well,
my theory, and I believe
Go ahead.
I got it from Marnell Durrett, who it comes with pretty good knowledge. Is first of all, I aerate. I don't think it hurts to aerate any wine.
I don't think it hurts.
But if you want to decant a wine, I would decant a very, very young wine
Mm-hmm.
or a very, very old wine.
Right, and this goes back to what I said: decant versus aerate are two different things. If you're dealing with a 1982 Chateau Lafite, you're going to probably decant
Right.
because you're going to be filtering that.
Okay,
Yeah.
If you're
I
dealing-
don't have anything that's that old.
If you're dealing with a 2020 Kiepersol, you're probably not going to want to filter it necessarily because you're not worried about sediment. You want to open it up.
Right.
So you're going to want to aerate that.
Aerate, right.
And the decanter would allow some of that aeration. So
So it's
my
like how
rule
do
of thumb
Yeah.
is that if it is a red wine, it will depend on type. If it's going to be a bold red with a very high tannin, I'm probably going to give it at least an hour, maybe 2 hours to decant.
Uh-huh.
do you automatically do that, or do you taste it first?
That's a difficult question because I will open a wine and my decanter doesn't hold an entire bottle. So
We need to fix that.
yeah. So I'm going to end up pouring a little bit into a glass, and I'm going to have that as my
Yeah.
little
little taster, yeah.
little taster.
I've either got the decanter that will hold a whole bottle, or I've got the aerators, the pour
You mean Jeff
aerators.
Cope's Texas aerator?
No, I don't have that one.
Why not? Why do I not have one of those?
I don't have that
know.
one.
I don't know.
But I'll
But it's
usually
like,
have a
how
little
do you
tasting
know?
of the glass and find out what's different now as opposed to 1 to 2 hours from
Interesting.
now.
Yeah.
And
So
you
it's
will
like there's
usually
rule of
see
thumb.
a big difference.
So here's
If it's this big bowl, you're going to see a big difference. If
Right.
you're dealing with an
Alianico.
or a Alicante Boucher or something like that, you want to give it a little while.
See, I'll usually do that for Tempranillo, but because for me, Tempranillo is not always
I would give it
my
30
necessarily
minutes.
favorite, and so
30 minutes
sometimes
to
I
30 minutes.
know.
Yeah.
30 minutes to an hour.
I didn't decant your Tempranillo last night.
Uh-oh.
That Tempranillo was phenomenal.
Thank you.
He just opened it for you.
He did, and he did. He poured it, and I was like, "Wait, what is that we're drinking?" It was the Lost Straw,
It was a lot.
So
and it was so good.
here's something that's very, very interesting topic here, and I've had this question multiple times in the tasting room. Why do you decant reds but you don't decant whites?
I've never
question.
thought about that actually.
That's a very good question, and I had no answer. That for once, I had no answer for that, and I actually looked online, and
That is
everything
a good
says
question.
you just don't do it. And I'm like, okay, why do you not just why?
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't say you don't do it. There has to be a
So-
reason.
I mean, why? Yeah, because if you watch me, no matter what I have in my hand, I'm swirling it,
Right.
Yeah,
aerating it.
I'll swirl water for
Whether
whatever
it's
reason.
white or whether it's red, but I've never
yeah.
thought about
But
that.
it's like, yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
If it's
That is a good question.
again, if it really goes, for me, it goes back to how high a tannin level does the wine have. If it's a very high tannin level, if I'm dealing with
Which a white doesn't have high
Well,
tannins.
yeah, you're not dealing with a high tannin on white. So yeah, you could let it open up for 30 minutes. Doesn't hurt it. But
I think sometimes I think more alcohol level than tannins too.
yeah, somewhat.
I don't know. I don't know that I've had the wine that I would think I needed to decant
I've
or aerate, whichever way you want to say it. That is a good question, though.
Yeah.
Now it makes me think.
We have a broken cork.
we have
to deal with.
Oh, no.
broken bottle.
Oh, a broken
A
bottle.
Broken bottle. Take the back of the bear.
Yeah. I think that would be wise.
We need to no, it's okay.
We had a bottle brought to us that had not only the cork broken, but a part of the
And it happens.
top
I've
was broken. It
I've-
may have gotten dropped.
Yeah,
or
I've had
knocked over.
several bottles that I've opened before the neck on it was you didn't know because it's got
Yeah.
the foil on it, and then you go to open it, and the half the glass, the neck of it's broke, and you don't know it until it happens, As long as it's not in tiny pieces and stuff like that. So, but back to what we were saying, a lot of people have asked, why do you decant reds but you don't decant whites, and that's a great topic.
I've never even thought about that with a white.
That should be that would be a great education topic.
Yeah.
I mean, we all open them up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, and I'm gonna just so y'all can laugh at me. I actually swirl my water too.
Oh my gosh.
We've all done
That's a
it.
little
Is
over
it
the top.
open it up and change the
Before or after
flavor?
you spit. I mean,
We've all
Well,
done it.
I've had a couple. I would get a glass of water, and I'm sitting at my desk, and I'm sitting there swirling around. And I'm like, what am I doing here?
We've all done
Where
it.
do I really want to be?
I know.
Exactly. What am I simulating here?
Yeah.
hey, going back to decanting, I saw a deal where this guy had a contraption with a spiral, and he would open the bottle of wine, he would filter it.
Mm-hmm.
It would go through the spirals into a funnel with a filter back into a decanter, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then he would pour it back in the bottle, and then that's how he would serve it. Now, granted, this was some show, highfalutin kind of thing, so I mean, that's very unique to that.
Oh.
There's some fancy,
So we
fancy areas.
So what y'all
out
can't
there.
see
Sorry,
out
I
here?
just have to. I interrupted the
A
group here
proposal.
because there's someone
proposing out there.
Proposing.
Proposal?
underneath the Kiepersol tree this afternoon.
Oh.
We should.
No, I was suspicious when I saw them walk down there and he was kicking rocks like he was nervous.
Like he's nervous.
we should.
Do we call security?
Yeah, I don't know. I think
Turn the
Has
sprinklers
he,
on.
has he
We're
gone
gonna
down?
get engaged.
Has
Why
he,
not do it under the
has he
Kiepersol?
gone down yet?
We should go get them.
Why, Ron? Tell us why that's called.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Kiepersol tree.
Yeah,
Yeah,
why is
it-
that called
it-
the
what's the
Kiepersol
story?
tree?
So So but when Pierre grew up, he grew up on his father's farm. There was a tree called the Kiepersol tree, and legend has
About
it that
what?
back in the late 1800s, during the Anglo-Boer War, the British were helping the South Africans fight that war, and one day the South Africans are on a hillside, and three British soldiers are running across the savannah with a lion in pursuit.
Uh-huh.
And they're looking at this little scrub tree, and they're looking at the lion, and they're yelling, "Will it keep us all? Will it keep us all?" And the South Africans thought they said Kiepersol, and so it became known as a Kiepersol tree. So that is our version, and there is a couple.
I mean, that's such a great story. And actually, that story lives on the website, too. I remember seeing some stuff on the website and how everything's grown up and stuff.
Yeah, well, we just saw it in action. I actually warned you guys that there could be somebody this afternoon getting engaged.
Marnell's walking by us.
I
right
know
now.
Marnell
Everybody.
needs to come over here and talk to us.
She doesn't want to talk to us. She's running off with a dolly full of wine right now.
Oh,
Is Dolly mine? I mean,
Yeah, dolly mine. So we probably need to get those folks down there and congratulate them and get them up here on the microphone and stuff.
actually, he has a white shirt on. Maybe they got married.
Oh. Well, I mean,
Why would you come and get engaged in a white shirt?
Well, I don't know.
why would you drink wine in a white shirt?
That's
Neal?
the question.
Have you heard of wine away?
That's the
Slight
question.
diversion when you sat on the patio at Kiepersol.
Yes.
Exactly.
You're expected to behave and not need to slosh all over your white shirt.
With you, Laurinda, no one's behaving.
That man, y'all are rough.
But that ties
It's a
hand in
rough
hand
crowd.
with the beauty out here at the Kiepersol.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know, it's like the Piney Woods area, but the hills, and people think that Texas is flat. No, get out of San Antonio. Get out of come
Yeah.
over here.
Well, people don't realize that you could fit the entire country of France inside of Texas.
Yes.
Have
yes.
room left over.
And have room left over.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Massachusetts.
Yeah.
That's why it took 5 hours to drive out here from Abilene.
You know, I remember riding on a motorcycle from Dallas-Fort Worth to El Paso, and it took 12 hours.
Right.
You know, I mean, granted, I had to stop every so often to put gas in, but I mean, that didn't help add time on that. So, but
Yeah, we used to convoy out of San Antonio, and the first day was just leaving Texas,
yeah,
and then we'd go through 3 states to our destination. And,
Yeah.
and the young guys would go, "Wow, we just went through 3 states. Like, welcome to Texas."
Well, you know, you go from Texarkana to El Paso. The mileage markers don't say 800 miles. They say next day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Well, what did you think of that first part of We Know Texas Vino and Texas Wine Lover takes over Kiepersol Winery? Now, stay tuned next week for part 2 of this show. Now, in the meantime, get ready for the Drink North Texas event this weekend from noon to 6 on Saturday. We will be out there broadcasting live and chatting with different people about Texas wine. Until then, cheers.